rare oftentimes in, film history is to get. Sorry, I'm trying to fix this. A film trilogy that, it is rare to get a trilogy that gets better with each installment because most of the times the trilogies depends on how you view it. For example, one thing is like the Indiana Jones first three. When you or Back to the Future, like the original is an all time classic. The second one, like when they're in the future, it's awesome, but looking back on it, I think it's personally for me, it's a little bit weak and it is pretty dark at times. Which I was like, damn, this was darker than I remember it. Three, I personally like a lot, even if, but it's like the second best in my opinion. So, sorry, gotta like center myself in the middle. Sorry, forget this goes the opposite direction. But that being said, there have been rare times where you got to see a trilogy that gets better with each installment. Like the one that really comes to mind is Lord of the Rings, because the first ones were amazing. I think the second one is just as good, as not if not better. Return of the King, amazing film. Same thing, and personally for me, I created this little trilogy. The trilogy that consists of Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. For me, at least, they all get better with each film because it's like the moment it's like the Russo brothers personally have a better understanding and like at least managed to fix up some of the problems Joss Whedon set up. But also, they respect the fandom compared to Warner Brothers. Sorry, I had a bit of apple there, but I guess you could include the Fear Street movies as those films that got better with the installments because I really did enjoy the first one. Formulaic at times, yes, it is familiar, but it only got better. It was also like the reverse trilogy aspect, the going back in time with the sequels was very interesting to me because that never happens in movies, but it was nice to see that direction go the way it was. And I think what's really great about the Fear Street trilogy, as well as like they're telling the story, but they're also doing it through different versions. Like part one, 1994, it's through the point it's set in the 90s because that was where the slasher genre kind of came back, with Scream. Then part two, ironically, was set in 1978, the same year John Carpenter's original Halloween came out, which I thought I loved that because I thought, yeah, it has that John Carpenter aspect to it. And from what I know for the third one, they're trying to go for a very Terrence Malick feel with it, with the color palette that they chose, and I kind of liked it. And yeah, but James here has Fear Street Part 2, 1978, the official kill count here on Dead Meat. I'm excited to see because I do know James. He has said he did not like the first one. He thought the first one was okay, but he did like two and three. I think, if I'm not mistaken. It's like, um, yeah. So let's check out and see. I don't know. I had a line there. I just forgot it. Let's see James do what he does best.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Fear Street Part 2, 1978, released in 2021 on Netflix. Part 2 technically continues the story from Part 1, but the main plot is relegated to mere minutes that bookend this film. The bulk of Part 2 is a flashback that takes place at a summer camp in the 70s, giving Fear Street the opportunity to try a different flavor of horror. Part 1 took place in the 90s and appropriately modeled itself after Scream. That meant snarky humor, a high school setting, and a general sense of self-awareness. Part 2 takes place in 1978, the same year Halloween came out and ushered in a golden age of slashers. Thus, this sequel is more in the vein of those films from the late 70s and early 80s, especially summer camp set ones like Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th. The characters are less quippy and snide than Part 1's, thankfully, and the new cast members put in excellent performances that win you over right away. Changing out the main characters is a risky move for a trilogy meant to to be cohesive, but it helps that the new cast is headed by Sadie Sink, who was also able to seamlessly blend into Stranger Things when she joined its second season. I was initially worried about Part 2's setting, since I sometimes get bored during summer camp slashers, but the shift in subgenre doesn't ruin Fear Street's overall tone. There's still plenty of super
There's lots of scenes in part two that scared me to death. The one with it's because I have a fear of snakes. I hate snakes a lot. If I see one on screen, I'm like, oh Jesus, no. So, but it's like you don't know if those things will ever try to bite you. They will bite you. Those things are poisonous. Uh, but yeah, like there's like lots of scary things, and an interesting about part two is like even though it does have a lot of gore, like some of it is you don't really see most of the killings. Kind of like in, I think like in the original Halloween as well, you don't see it. You only see the aftermath, which I wonder if James is gonna talk about because there's one where like Tommy Slater, the killer, goes after this kid in glasses, and Tommy's a, who knew that the goods were racist. All right, spoilers. Damn it, I just spoiled it. It's already in there. You guys will never even see the movies, but or the witch doesn't like black people is what I meant to say, but yeah, like seeing it was the shot where I think the glasses are broken and there's just blood all over the floor, and it helps you kind of make it up in your mind. It's like, oh, now I get what they're going for.
supernatural mystery to it, and it builds upon the lore in a surprisingly effective way. Once again, huge credit to Lee Janiak, who was essentially Fear Street's showrunner. Janiak was always meant to direct parts 1 and 3, which were filmed first and second since they use a lot of the same cast. Part 2 was filmed last and was supposed to be directed by Janiak's friend Alex Ross Perry. An issue with scheduling as production neared caused Janiak to last-minute direct 1978 as well. She says she would have preferred to have more prep time for it, but I think it came out great and successfully emulated early slashers. Janiak and DP Caleb Heyman switched to a more voyeuristic Steadicam style for the camera, while composer Marco Beltrami added more woodwinds and percussion to his score. His music mimics Harry Manfredini so well, I mistakenly took a cue as coming directly from a Friday film. I was probably thinking of Brenda's tune, which sounds pretty similar. Even outside of the faithful technical limitations, I think 1978's a huge improvement over 1994. The isolated setting keeps things more focused, the story beats feel less strained, and there are way fewer scenes of clunky melodrama. They're still there, they're just not as frequent or as long. Will Part 2 also best its predecessor in terms of body count? Let's find out and get to the kills.
Sorry, had a beer commercial. If only you could just go away right now. Hold on, let me just close this damn door. Better. Get less noise in here. I should have paused directly. Yeah, I'm sorry. For those wondering why I don't have YouTube Premium, I'm not falling for that bullshit. Next time I see an ad notification, I'm hitting the pause button.
The movie begins with a previously on. I like how Fear Street is basically a miniseries, a sort of hybrid between movies and traditional TV. It feels more fun to binge back to back than just going through a bunch of sequels. A news station reports about the murders from Part 1, relaying Sheriff Good's story that blames Kate, Simon, and drugs. C. Berman watches the report while feeding Major Tom her
Yeah, I think this actually might be Jillian Dick's, best role in my opinion as C. Berman. She's just awesome in this. Plus, I also like Jillian Jacobs. She's really great at. She's really she's good in a lot of things like Community, Invincible, lots of things.
dog named after the Bowie character. Probably why the soundtrack's playing the 90s version of a Bowie song, the Nirvana cover of Man Who Sold the World, even though that version's severely lacking in glitter. C. Berman sees people appear outside her house, and one of them even climbs in through the window.
Don't fucking move! Wait! Stop, please!
Yeah, it's Dina, who says she called C. Berman on the phone. Her and her little bro Josh. Sup, C? They brought along Dina's possessed ex-girlfriend Sam, too, and though C. Berman's hesitant, she agrees to help these young lovers. C. Berman's played by Gillian Jacobs, best known from Community, which I'm pretty sure Josh makes a reference to here.
Cool.
C. Berman sits her trespassers down to tell them a story about when she and her sister went to Camp Nightwing.
A week later, my sister was dead.
Ah, bummer, C, but at least your flashback gives us a title card! Ziggy Berman's at Camp Nightwing, a summer and/or wrestling camp, judging by that wicked clothesline. That stunt person fell hard! Ziggy's a shady sider getting hazed by some Sunnyvalers who call her possessed and tie her to the same tree where Sarah Fear was once hanged for witchery. Main mean girl Sheila actually breaks out a lighter and starts singeing some skin. What the fuck, dude? Before this Berman barbecue is ended by a counselor named Nick Good. Yep, that Nick Good, the sheriff in 1994. And in case you don't catch that on your own, don't worry. The movie makes sure you know.
Thank you, King of Sunnyvale, future police chief Nick Good.
Sheriff Nick Good's got a good ring to it.
I actually did not catch on to that because I wasn't really focusing that much on it. I was kind of having my doubts. I'm like, it is. I wasn't really focused on the Nick Good thing, so.
Stop talking to young Nick in this later scene also ties back to part 1. He's Kopinski, the officer whose gun was stolen by Dina.
You just go easy on me when you're my boss, huh?
Not if you keep getting your gun stolen, dude! Another link to part 1 is Nick's younger brother Will, shown here as a camper helping Sheila torment Ziggy. He'd eventually become mayor of Sunnyvale, of course, as seen in part 1 and on the TV just a few minutes ago. Fear Street Part 2 pays homage to slashers in general, and Friday the 13th in particular. Some shots in the opening montage feel like direct references to Friday's earlier films. Despite what Netflix's Twitter might tell you, though, Camp Nightwing was not primarily played by Camp Daniel Morgan, which played Camp Forest Green in Friday 6, Jason Lives. This rumor was squashed by Sean Clark on his channel Malfunction. If you don't know Sean, he's a mainstay of the horror world and has been visiting horror movie locations since at least 2008 on his excellent series, Horror's Hallowed Ground. Sean learned that Fear Street 1978 was shot at Camp Rutledge, which sits across the lake from Daniel Morgan in Georgia's Hard Labor Creek State Park. What a name. There is a single shot in Fear Street that was filmed in Daniel Morgan, when a kid dives off a dock into the lake. You can see the same dock in Friday 6. I understand how the mistake was made. The camps have similar looking wooden entranceways. Ziggy takes her burn to the camp nurse, where she finds a book with some witch stuff and an article about Ruby Lane, the switchblade swinging singer we saw in part 1. Ruby's murders and suicide happened in 1965, and 13 years later, her mother Nurse Mary Lane is still reeling. Nurse Lane swears her daughter was a sweet, normal girl before her psychotic break and/or possession by witch. Before things can get too spooky with Nurse Lane, Ziggy's found by her older sister Cindy, played by Emily Rudd. Cindy's a camp counselor who's always trying to do what's right, like clean up the camp's weird red moss with her boyfriend, fellow counselor Tommy Slater. Hey Tommy, what if we kissed in front of the weird red moss? Maybe even some grab ass? Whoa dude, it's not a stress ball, calm down. Cindy Berman's a classic final girl type, which earns her derision from her sex-having, dope-smoking, runaways-listening co-counselors Alice and Arnie.
You don't want to corrupt her virgin ear.
Alice is played by Ryan Simpkins, whose younger brother Ty was seen in Jurassic World. While director Lee Janiak gave all the actors playlists of 70s songs in order to help familiarize them with the era they'd be depicting, Simpkins did extra credit for their character Alice. They put together a punkier playlist and modeled themselves after counterculture figures like Joan Jett, Debbie Harry, and of course, David Bowie. Alice's bad reputation puts her at odds with her ex-childhood friend Cindy, whose desire to do good also causes friction with her sister Ziggy. Ziggy's more like part 1's Dina, a negative Nancy who says that shady siders are fated to live in eternal misery. That's anathema to Cindy's outlook. She thinks that by working hard, she can make something of herself and get out of shady side. Cindy and Tommy are having tea time with the Tillerman when Nurse Lane comes in and says she saw Tommy's name on a wall.
One way or another, you're gonna die tonight.
Yeah, one way or another, she's gonna getcha. Nurse Lane's not
Damn it, James, you made me sing along.
great at the whole killing thing though, so Tommy knocks her out and she ends up wheeled away on a gurney. Again, like an early Friday the 13th final girl. Yeah, like a Ginny. As track 3 from Ziggy Stardust plays, Cindy goes to Ziggy for some information. She was the last one to talk to Nurse Lane before the attack, so maybe she knows what was up with all that.
Maybe it was.
Sorry for
Is the witch. Ziggy. What, that doesn't fit your carefully constructed bullshit view of the world?
Sadie Sink is so good at playing the pissed off, me against the world tough teen. And you can't blame Ziggy for being that way. She's a shady sider.
We're all cursed.
They've got a death curse! Despite the Nurse Lane incident, the camp continues with its color war plans. The annual capture the flag match between Shadyside in blue and Sunnyvale in red. And they take this shit seriously. Just ask Sunnyvale Counselor Kurt.
And let's go out there like our ancestors before us and murder those Shadyside witches!
Dude, why does anyone from Shadyside even come to this camp? It's just a week of getting shat on by their wealthy neighbors.
Tonight is Sunnyvale versus Shadyside. It is good versus evil.
What, are they trying to earn a merit badge and being othered? With some Kansas and some face paint, this color war is ready to go. Tommy's not ready to carry on though, son. He can't rise above the noise and confusion in his head. Cindy takes Tommy to the nurse's office, hoping to find a clue as to why Nurse Lane attacked him. Could have been drugs, could have been witch stuff. Who's to say? The couple runs into Alice and Arnie, looking to steal some drugs, but they settle on reading from the scary old book that talks about Seraphir's curse on Shadyside.
The curse will last until body and hand unite.
In this book is a map notated by Nurse Lane. It mentions Union, the colonial settlement that split into Shadyside and Sunnyvale in 1666.
So the camp is built in the same place as the settlement?
That's how you tee up part 3. They see a spot on the map marked Seraphir, spurring Alice and Arnie off on an adventure. Best go and join them, Sin and Tomsta. Uh-oh, Tommy's hearing voices say his name. Just like we saw with Ryan Torres and Sam in 1994. Cindy Cindy and Tommy catch up with Alice and Arnie at a hole in the ground. They surmise that Nurse Lane was digging around for Seraphir's hand. If she could find it and reunite it with its body, it could end the curse on Shadyside that made her daughter slashy.
The curse will last until body and hand unite.
Nearby, they find a stone staircase leading underground. This must be the witch's house. And everyone knows witches have dope-ass basements. They almost always have Nintendos. And when they don't, they have markings in the ground.
It's the witch's mark.
I mean, I'd rather have the Nintendo, but according to the book, the witch's mark is where Seraphir cut off her hand and made a deal with the devil that has since plagued Shadyside. Near the witch's mark, Alice finds names written on the wall, like Ruby Lane and Billy Barker, well-known Shadyside killers. Oh, this is what Nurse Lane was talking about, because Tommy's name is also here. That can't be good. It's probably why Tommy's a sweaty mess right now, and why he's reaching for that axe, and why he's sticking it in Arnie's face. God damn! This
44 minutes in, I never caught that. Yeah, 44 minutes in and they didn't even have... Only now they start the killings.
Slasher just got slashing! Tommy turns his attention to Cindy and Alice next, but after a short chase with a near catch, they're separated by a cave-in. Cindy and Alice are trapped deeper in this cave system, while Tommy is free to go, and that guy's got an axe to grind. Back at camp, Nick Good catches Ziggy as she's plotting revenge against Sheila for vandalizing her bunk. She's planning on doing a Carrie-style bucket dump with red paint. Instead of reprimanding Ziggy, Nick chats Stephen King and offers to help. Together, they use a forged note to lure Sheila out to the bathroom, then dump a bunch of bugs on her and lock her inside. Haha, bug muncher. This kicks off a bonding session between the Shadysider and the Sunnyvaler. And you can tell they about to be star-crossed lovers when Lou Reed starts singing Sweet Jane on the soundtrack. After all, the Cowboy Junkies cover of this Velvet Underground song is what played during Part 1's lovemaking sesh. Maybe 1666 gets the Mott the Hoople version. Their foreplay comes in the form of backstory. Ziggy says her life sucks because she's a Shadysider, and Nick bemoans the pressure he's under as the first son of Sunnyvale's leading family.
Being the heir apparent isn't always easy either.
This is great characterization to give to Nick Good. He wants to be weird and frolic around with this Shadysider, but he has a duty to his family in the town of Sunnyvale. This makes stuff that happens later compelling and tragic. Right now, though, Sweet Jane is doing its thing, and Ziggy and Nick cross enemy lines to swap some spit. The color war rages on, with Shadysider Jeremy acting as Team Blues jailer to some captured Red Team Sunnyvalers. Jeremy's played by Dylan Gage, who appeared in an episode of Stranger Things, but who I know from Pen 15, one of my favorite comedies. That's why I feel extra bad for him when he gets egged and loses his captives, and it's why I feel extra bad for him when Tommy shows up and freaking murders this kid. Holy shit! I keep telling y'all, Fear Street don't fuck around! Jeremy's body is found by the other campers and counselors, setting off a panic that recalls everyone to the mess hall. Cindy and Alice are still trapped underground, and one of them isn't all that optimistic about getting out.
We're gonna die down here. Just like Arnie.
Though navigating these tunnels proves tricky at first, Cindy figures out that the witch's mark doubles as a map of this cave system. They follow it to the center, where things start getting nasty. Oh shit, really nasty, dog. What the fuck is that thing?
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, dude, fuck this creepy bug brain. Alice can't help but touch that cave meat, and when she does, she gets a flash of past Fear Street murders that already went on part 1's kill count, so I won't double count them here. Alice also sees a vision of a super bloody Cindy, which sends her running away until she falls and breaks her leg. Since Alice and Cindy haven't made their
I forgot about that. It's been like a month since I've seen these movies because it went through. Holy shit.
way to the mess hall, Nick tells Ziggy he'll go find her sister for her. He volunteers Shadyside counselor Gary to help as well. I love Gary's reaction to that glimpse of romance he gets.
Hey, you realize that's a camper, right?
Gary's played by Drew Scheid, who was Oscar in Halloween 2018, Allison's friend.
I never caught that. I guess because, lots of these unknowns are very surprising to me.
Who had the motion sensor scene with Michael Myers. Speaking of Halloween, 1978 continues its honoring of slashers with a scene involving sex, drugs, and a killer point of view outside the window. The sex scene gives us nudity from both participants. Kurt, the alpha Sunnyvaler, who led the color war rallying cry, and Joan, the crunchy Shadysider, who believes in peace and love, and finds Kurt sexy.
He might be dumb, but he's kinda shagadelic.
Since he makes her horny, baby, they get their shag on. After
I wanted to make a reference, but I was like, I couldn't. And then James goes ahead and makes the Austin Powers reference. Oh god.
After they're done and Kurt leaves to wash up, Tommy Slater appears with a punishment for Joan being naughty. He violently hacks her to death with his axe. Good thing she came to camp prepared with some strong-ass double-sided tape. Cindy catches up with Alice and mends her broken leg and their broken friendship. She does so by admitting she's just another shitty Shadysider, no matter how hard she tries to prove the curse wrong.
I told myself if I was perfect, if I did everything right, I could beat it.
This sentiment is familiar. In part 1, Dina accused Sam of trying to escape Shadyside's curse by moving away. In Shadyside and Sunnyvale, history's always repeating itself. Cindy notices that weird red mom.
Back to the Future does this a lot, because there's always many scenes in Back to the Future. In the sequels, they always repeat it. Every time they're in a different version of Hill Valley, they show all the different things. So, like, where there was an aerobics gym, or anything like that, or where there's a movie theater or anything like that. In the future, you see the Jaws 3D thing, you see the antique shop. In the 1985 Hell Valley, the dystopian future that Biff created once he went back in time, you kind of see, Hill Valley destroyed, and you see like this Donald Trump-esque casino. And what else? Man, there's other things. I know I'm skipping out on it. Part 3 also did it, where it was like you got to see Hill Valley back in 1885, and you got to see the saloon, and there's the repeat. And you also hear a lot of stuff like Statler is a really, really interesting name in Back to the Future. In the first minutes of Back to the Future Part 1, you get to hear Statler Toyota, and then I don't know if they mention it in Part 2 in 19 Studebaker Studebakers, but there's a scene in Back to the Future Part 3 where Doc says to Clara, after he meets Clara, is like, Clara Clayton. I'm sorry, Miss Clayton. I'll talk to Mr. Statler about the horse carriage. So it's kind of referencing that the Statler family is in the transportation department and selling vehicles. And what James is saying, the history tends to repeat itself thing, it's something you see a lot in the Back to the Future films, which is what I love about those films.
On the cave wall, indicating they might be by the outhouse where she got her shirt stained and her butt groped. To the horny toilet, onward! Nick tries to gather up the remaining campers, but the shipbird Sunnyvale Red Jailer demands his Shadyside Blue captives stay put. After he leaves to see what's going on, the prisoners meet Warden Tommy Slater, who slaughters these Shadyside kids off screen. Although I only see 3 of them here in this shot, I hear 4 axe strikes, and later Nick mentions finding 4 bodies, so I'll use the names he says at that point and assume there was a 4th victim just off screen. Ziggy realizes she
They don't really show most of the kills. You only see a few of them, like Arnie with the axe, you saw Joan, but like for a few of the kids, they don't really show much. Like you only saw Tommy hacking that kid from off screen with the glasses, and then you see the aftermath. You see the blood there with the glasses on there, and then you see the scene we just saw. All you saw was the match in a few instances, but I like how they try to restrain themselves on showing not too much. I gotta shut up. I gotta really charge this thing.
left Sheila locked inside the buggy bathroom, and when she gets there to let her out, Sheila attacks her. Their struggle is overheard by Cindy and Alice as they follow the moss to the camp's shit cans. Yo, no one noticed the toilet holes led to, like, a cave system? The fight between Ziggy and Sheila also brings Gary around, so he's there when Ziggy discovers that her sister's now living her life as a toilet lady.
My sister's in the toilet.
What? They lower a rope and bucket down and start pulling Alice up. Damn, Gary, do work, son. Oh, shit, Gary, watch out. It's Tommy Slay. Oh, and off goes his head with an axe. Fuck yeah, I love a good decapitation. Oh, and then his headless body falls and lands on top of Alice. Sick. Ziggy flees Tommy's axe strikes and death glares and runs into the woods until she comes across Nick. They hide in the science and Nick.
There's only one issue I have with that is like you see Ziggy and Sheila fighting, but you don't really because I think Sheila gets knocked out, but we don't really see her after that. And I don't remember seeing her killed. Especially, I don't really think we see her in the kill count. I've seen the movie, all right? I know what happens, but we don't really see what happens to Sheila. So maybe she survived, or it's like, hey, you sons of bitches, you left me in here. Or I don't know. Maybe she just took the bus on the next day once it was daytime. She ow. I don't know. They don't show it, so I'm wondering, did she survive? It would be interesting if they do want to continue this, because I've heard Lee Janiak actually wants to continue after part 3. That maybe they'll show Sheila. I don't know. I don't want to know. Let's just go back.
Nature cabin. Then Nick tells Ziggy that Tommy must be some kind of psycho. But Ziggy knows Tommy and says he's really a good guy, so she blames his behavior on possession by Sarah Fear.
That's not real, Ziggy.
That's exactly what a Sunnyvale would say. Thought you were different.
Whatever the matter's with him, Tommy's quite the determined feller. He punches his way inside and starts stalking them with an axe. But don't even think about killing that snake for real, brah. No need to pay homage to Friday in that way. Not even when it ruins a take by spiking the camera.
You know, he broke the fourth wall.
Tommy grabs Ziggy and swings his axe towards her, but Nick saves her and takes the blow on his leg instead.
Snakes are awful. I hate snakes. F you, snakes.
Tommy ignores the good boy, though. He's only interested in Shadyside prey. Literally everyone he's killed so
That I've noticed too. Now that I notice it, I know what happened in part 3, and I might have slightly spoiled it. But we don't really see. We see him get injured. We see Nick get injured. Young Nick get injured with the axe, but kill it off. But he only kills the blue brand, which is kind of foreshadowing what really happens.
so far has come from the Blue Brand roster. Alice and Cindy find themselves stuck in the damn caves again, a setting that sticks around a bit too long in my opinion. Alice figures out there might be an exit at the mess hall and sends Cindy ahead without her so she can save her sister. Ziggy's gonna need that saving too, since all the other campers just pieced out on a bus. Once again, gotta question the bus driver here. They didn't see or hear the teenage girls screaming behind them? Thanks a lot, bus driver. If Tommy catches her, that blood's on your hands! Ziggy runs into the mess hall and hides in the kitchen, leaving a trail of footprints to intentionally lead Tommy past her hiding spot. Kinda like what Danny Torrance did to Jack.
Oh yeah, I never noticed that. Hold on, let me just pause the video again because my mom question. Sorry, I had to help out mom.
Footprints to intentionally lead Tommy past her hiding spot. Kinda like what Danny Torrance did to Jack in The Shining, which I was also reminded of as Tommy hacked away at the door with an axe. Ziggy manages to stab Tommy, but he fights back and overpowers her. Once again, Ziggy's struggle is heard by
Also, they were playing Carry On Wayward Son.
a subterranean Cindy, who has reached the mess hall from the caves and is trying to kick her way out through the floor vent. During their fight, Ziggy slips a potato sack over Tommy's head, giving the Nightwing Killer the appearance he had in Fear Street Part 1. This itself is a reference to Friday the 13th Part 2, back before Jason Voorhees made the hockey team, but still had to cover up his face. Tommy's actor McCabe Sly plays the masked Nightwing Killer in Fear Street Part 2, but his stunts were performed by Lloyd Pitts, who played the killer in the 1994 storyline. Also, I've got to shout out Cindy's actor Emily Rudd. I saw an interview where she mentioned Lloyd Pitts by name when talking about acting with a stunt performer. Actors don't always mention stunt performer names, so good on you, Ms. Rudd. Before the Nightwing Killer can turn Ziggy into Stardust, he's stabbed in the back by Cindy Berman with a knife. Although we know he comes back later as an undead killer, I'm counting this as Tommy Slater's human life ending. The
Essentially, it is because, like, right after Ryan Torres is killed, he then comes back he goes after Sam Mendina, and he goes after Sam, and so do the other killers, like Ruby Lane. Like after they die, essentially that's the end of their human life. Essentially, James has a fair point.
Sisters hug and Cindy apologizes for ever doubting Ziggy's shady side mantra.
Everything is cursed.
Ziggy apologizes for being kind of a dick, giving us a harmonious happy ending. Hey Alice, get up here and join in on the happy ending! Alice says she has a way to make this ending even happier, because after Cindy ran off in the tunnels, she found more clues in the witch book. That caused her to dig beneath the red moss, and you know what she found there? Sarah friggin' Fear's friggin' hand! And remember what they keep saying about that friggin' hand?
The curse will last until body and hand unite.
That means they can end Shadyside's curse of murderers by burying that hand alongside Sarah Fear's body. Better make sure they take care of it then. Damn it, Ziggy, watch the blood! Good job, you bled on the cursed hand. Ziggy says she saw Sarah Fear, just like Sam did after she bled on the bones in Part 1.
I saw the witch.
Part 2 shows us what happens after blood hits the bones, since we zoom down into the cave system and watch as that pulsating heart of darkness spits out a being made of black goop. This is how the killers of Shadyside's past are reformed and brought back to life, which means the late Tommy Slater gets an immediate second chance to do some more killing. There you go, Tommy. I knew you weren't one to waste a good opportunity. You're doing great, man. You're like zombie Jason now. Try not to listen to the haters. Oh, snap! You lost your head, Tommy! That's not very zombie Jason of you. Still, zombie Tommy's slashing wasn't in vain, as Alice succumbs to her wound and bleeds to death on the mess hall floor. The sisters hear a familiar song coming out the cave. It's Ruby Lane singing about
Damn it, every time, if that song ever comes on, if someone sings that Ruby Lane song, I'm like, oh, if I was in a store and that happened, I'd be like, oh no, hell no, I'm out of here. I'm stealing this. I ain't paying for it. I'm not getting killed by a witch's minion.
about how you always hurt the ones you love. The Heart of Darkness has brought her back to life, as well as some of her Shadyside friends. And sure, Tommy, you can have a third run too, why not? Ziggy and Cindy take the Skelly Hand to the Hanging Tree, which is where Sarah Fear was executed and where her body should be buried. As they dig for it, they're approached by various Shadyside killers, including inaugural shiny Shadysider Billy Barker with his bat. The sisters don't find a body though, only a stone that says the witch forever lives. Huh, can't really attach that Skelly Hand to a rock, can ya? As the Shadyside Killers close in on them, Cindy tells her sister to run, hoping to buy her time by taking a shovel to Tommy's face. As Tommy fights back, Ziggy is apprehended by B-tier Shadyside monster, the Milkman, who stabs her in the gut? Oh wow, big push for Milkman there. I thought that dude was a mid-carder for sure. Jokes aside, this is a seriously tragic scene, as the sisters get stabbed and hacked to death in slow motion. It's depicted so brutally, the violence unforgiving, and it's downright sad when we watch them die together, laying side by side. I'm on the verge of crying here, man. Since when is this series called Tear Street? These kills were filmed near the end of Fear Street's exhausting 100-plus day production, which is why Janiac says she kept adding more and more blood.
It was just like a real reflection of where my soul was at the time.
At least the fake blood tastes like mint. Sadie Sink actually said she liked it.
It's actually really nice.
With Ziggy dead, the killers disappear, since it was her blood on the bone hand that brought them back. And just to make sure everyone understands, I want to clarify what we know about Shadyside Killers so far. As Nurse Lane indicated, and as we saw in the tunnels, when a person's name appears on the wall by the witch's mark, that person becomes inexplicably violent and murdery. It happened with Tommy Slater tonight, and in the past happened with all our faves, like Ruby Lane and Billy Barker. Bleeding on Sarah's bones, however, triggers a completely separate event, which we saw happen with Sam in 1994 and Ziggy a few minutes ago. When that happens, the Heart of Darkness spits out gloopy copies of past Shadyside Killers. No matter what you do to them, they'll keep coming back and chasing the person who bled on the bones. The only way to get rid of them is for the bone bleeder to die, which is why they disappeared after Sam was drowned in part 1 and after Ziggy bled to death on the ground just now. But lest we forget, C. Berman is telling this tale in 1994.
My sister was dead. And so was I.
Ah, there's that OG man who sold the world. So much spookier. Nick Good finds Ziggy's body and brings her back to life with magical movie CPR. This is the twist to Fear Street Part 2. See, Berman wasn't Cindy Berman, it was Ziggy, whose real name is Christine Berman.
I was kind of predicting that. I kind of was like, is Sadie the or? But I think it's because their names are both. Yeah, real name is Christine Berman. Damn it! Now I got the reference to Christine. Son of a bitch. Then Cindy Berman, but they do it in a way where it's like you don't know until you find out. Yep.
Berman.
Wait, here's Ziggy?
I'm sorry, how'd she keep that a secret while telling a 2-hour story? Did she speak in third person the whole time, or that just doesn't make any fucking sense? In any case, Nick was
The only thing that makes sense is that nothing makes sense. Cool. Or Ragnarok.
able to save Ziggy's life, but Cindy, yeah, not so lucky. Ziggy tried to tell everyone about the zombie Shadyside Killers, but no one believed her, not even Nick Good.
You don't become sheriff talking about ghost stories.
Oh yeah, that guy becomes the sheriff. I almost forgot. As our flashback concludes, we see 11 victims laid out in a row. Now, I've counted 12 kills throughout this episode, but I think Tommy's body is still running around. Ziggy was brought back to life, and we saw Cindy's body being carted away. That means I've only counted 9 of these victims, leaving me with 2 kills I need to add to the count to square up with this shot. This also jives with the newspaper article we saw in Part 1's opening credits. That mentions 12 victims, but an unknown killer. So 12 victims plus Ziggy plus Tommy equals 14. Present-day Ziggy tells Dina and Josh they'll never be able to end the curse. They'd have to reunite Seraphir's hand with her body, which wasn't under the tree like it should have been. But Dina and Josh know where Seraphir's body really is, sitting beneath some red moss on the side of the road. Now they just need the hand, which Ziggy and Cindy left beneath the hanging tree. That sends them to the Shadyside Mall, which was built where Camp Nightwing stood 16 years prior. You can actually see the tree in Part 1's opener, where you also see that Sheriff Good walks with a limp, a result of the axe strike he suffered, saving Ziggy's life. Dina and Josh retrieve the hand from the mall courtyard, and Dina drives it back to the roadside bones. As soon as she reunifies the hand with the rest of the Skelly, she has a psychedelic trip that sends her psyche back centuries. We're going back to where it all began to get the witch's story.
Sarah! Seraphir!
Or at least we will next time, to be continued again! How many people left this camp at night on Wings of an Angel? Let's find out. Oh Lord, he coming! By my count, and that one shot near the end, there were 14 kills in Fear Street Part 2. We had 6 male victims, 6 female victims, and 2 I'm not sure of, because they were wrapped up in sheets. With a runtime of 111 minutes, that left us with a kill on average just about every 8 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Ziggy and Cindy Berman. It's a double whammy that's filmed in a super serious way, especially when they
This scene is kind of sad. Man, I don't know. Yeah, damn it. I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from Kate's death in part 1. No. Okay, this is equal, but if I had to think of most surprising death in Fear Street, the one that just caught me off guard was the Kate death. I'm like, because I never thought about that going. Of course, they debunked that you couldn't actually in real life. I don't think that's possible because you have a skull here where your skin is and where your brain is inside. But no, for me, it's still impact. It's like, oh man, I don't think I could survive. Kate's death still gets me, but is a Golden Chainsaw worthy kill.
cut out the sad music and stop the slow-mo, but the killers keep on stabbing just the same. Add in Cindy's dying words that nothing will keep the sisters apart, and you've got a masterpiece of a death scene here. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to the 2 bodies I had to add because my count didn't make sense without them. Who were you and when did you die? And Shiny Shadysider, the new award for my favorite Shadyside monster, will in this case go to Tommy Slater, aka the Camp Nightwing killer. Dude was already a highlight in Fear Street Part 1, and this movie showed why he's a main eventer. So violent. And that's it. Fear Street Part 2, 1978, came out in 2021, the middle part of the Fear Street trilogy. I'll look at Part 3 next Sunday, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count, you've made it. Killer Mom.
Killer Mommy.
You've suffered through one-eyed baghead.
Well, what next?
You've even endured the relentless onslaught of 3D flying at your face.
Cut that out right now, that's not funny!
Now it's time for the final chapter, by which I mean the 4th of 12 movies in this franchise. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is the last hurrah of the same old Friday film. We're still pretty much treading water here, but now things are bigger than ever. The kills, extra gory. The teens,
Kiss me, you fool.
extra horny. And Jason finally meets his match in the form of a goddamn alien.
Holy Jesus, goddamn!
Nah, that alien's actually a little boy. This is the start of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, and TJ is here to fuck Jason's life up. This week, watch The Return of the Hockey Mask and Tom Savini's effects in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And this Friday, watch the Kill Count Recount, only on Dead Meat.
This time they got him.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter, can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count on Fear Street Part 2, 1978. I want to thank some patrons like Dominic Arsenault, Johnny Kraft, Austin Porter, Benjamin O'Donnell, Wesley, Patrick Jenkins, Crisis, and Lola Mullen. At the time of filming, I still haven't resolved the Fear Street Part 1 thing, so hopefully you've seen that episode and this episode can come out just fine. You know, it's just part of being a YouTuber and specifically part of what I cover on YouTube. So just gotta adapt and roll with it, you know? Thanks everyone. Be good people.
I've already seen it. It's already up, James. And I remember that. Well, James announced that he was doing it, I think. Sorry, I have a different VPN like I keep mentioning. This is why I don't do much reaction videos. But I remember that. James was doing it, but he kept getting copyright claims from Netflix, and it's just why? Let the guy do it. He's trying to give us some good content here. Throw the guy a friggin' bone for Christ's sake. Alright? I mean, James is awesome overall. Like everything puts out is awesome. And just to see if I have a comment, no. Sorry. sisters in the. What the hell's that? Yeah. I really got nothing left to add other than this was a pretty good video. Also, the kill count was lower because I think what they're trying to go for the Halloween vibe. I remember hearing for Halloween, John Carpenter wanted to restrain a lot of the gore because he didn't because and I think that kind of made the film a little better, the original Halloween, because they restrained a lot of it to where you couldn't see what was going on, but you let your mind make it up for you. And I like that. That's what I loved about early Carpenter, and I think Lee Janiak pulled it off very well. But man, I mean, like early Carpenter, just to give you an example of his career. Damn it. Yeah, John Carpenter. So, I mean, back in the late 70s, full 80s, alright, so filmography. Alright. So, he did Dark Star. He directed Dark Star, and then, right there, it was Assault on Precinct 13. Then Halloween, then the fall. Alright, I'm trying to look at theatrical releases. That's the one that's important. So, theatrical. What? Releases. Assault on Precinct 13, and then it was Halloween, it was The Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, and They Live. Like, I know some of these are more like, some of the, like, Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China are more like thrillers, and Starman is a science fiction romance, but it's still like the golden age of John Carpenter. And then after They Live, John Carpenter's career was very strange because the best film John Carpenter made after They Live was In the Mouth of Madness. That one was, I think, my first one, my first John Carpenter. I really enjoy that movie, In the Mouth of Madness. But then he directed stuff like before Mouth of Madness was Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which I think is a science fiction black comedy, which did not work at all. And then after that came Village of the Damned, Escape from L.A. Vampires was fine, but then it was Ghosts of Mars, where many of even John Carpenter's biggest fans were like, "No, I'm sorry, Carpenter, you shat the bed real hard." And even John Carpenter admitted that he regretted doing the movie, and then he took a break from filming. He took a break from semi-retirement from directing films, and then he then did The Ward, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and from what I hear, it's decent. I haven't really seen it, but yeah, man. But yeah, I feel like I know John Carpenter. I just don't really think John Carpenter is comfortable going back to directing. But since he is involved with the new Halloween films, as I think the creative consultant on it, like he's officially supervising everything with David Gordon Green and Danny McBride to and I would say this: the 2018 Halloween, the reboot quill. I think okay, because Halloween H2O was the first of the reboot quills, and then it was decided that Carpenter would be coming back. He would be involved directly, and they would officially discontinue any other film that happened, and it would just be a direct sequel to the original Halloween. Because in Halloween 2, there's kind of the twist of originally Laurie Strode. Spoilers for those who have not seen the Halloween films. Being the sister of Michael Myers, you know. And I think they've since let go of that plot line, which I think it would have been interesting to bring that plot line back, but then again, I'm not John Carpenter. And plus, John Carpenter, from what I know, was forced to write a draft for Halloween 2, and they just gave it to a different director because From what I know, John Carpenter did not want to do a sequel. I don't know if he wanted to do a sequel to Halloween. I don't think he did. But, you know, the rest, as they say, is history. But, yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. This was Fear Street Part 2, the kill count for Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Can't wait for 1666, because, you know, I really did enjoy 1666. You know, the ending, though, I'm trying to figure out more. I know what they're trying to do, because we'll have to see next Sunday, and then I'll probably have to take a break from kill counts, because September is 2 months away. I've got to help out my mom with a lot of stuff. I'll react to a few things. Maybe a new Cinema Wins video. Maybe a new trailer for a movie I want to check out. Maybe a Memer Man. I do want to go back to... Probably I'll just go back to checking around kill counts around Thanksgiving. And Christmas, even. But, yeah, I gotta end the video here. Thank you, James, for such another great video. Can't wait for the part 3 kill count. I'll leave a link to the original video and to James's channel, Dead Meat. Let's see how many subscribers he's going for. 5.17. I hope he gets to 6 million. Enough just isn't enough. You need to get to 6 million, James. So I'll leave both the links to the video and your channel. James does a lot of great stuff. So I'll also leave a link to Instagram if you want to follow me there. I'm not forcing you. I'm like, follow me. I'm not holding a spoon or like a stopwatch going, follow me, follow me. Yeah, I won't put that in After Effects because these videos take too long to edit. That's why I just like upload them instantly. Alright, I gotta end the video. Bye, everybody.